everyone. Welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. I can't believe it's already the end of the year. Hope everybody's thinking about their tax planning and making sure they're set to close out the year and get ready for some new goals to create new wealth through real estate in 2022. And well, shall we get started?
Yeah, I'd say we get going.
Okay, thank you, Will. Welcome everybody. My name is Anthony Volin. I am the owner and broker of The Collective, and our passion is helping you build wealth through real estate. And we do it through so many different ways. This webinar, our multifamily meetup group, is all about helping you to earn and save the most amount of money you can, protect your wealth through multifamily investing. Today we have an amazing speaker who you all know and I've seen on all of our calls, but you'll get a chance to meet Will Tiao at a little deeper level and his team and learn about everything that they do on the property management side. So I'm excited to listen in on that today, and I hope you guys are as well. I have a couple of events that probably I'll have live, and I'll send the links to you guys to in just a little bit. But December 1st, we're have probably one of the most popular and most important sessions, most exciting ones for me of the year, is the LA real estate market forecast for 2022. So what will the real estate market forecast look like in 2022? That's going to be December 1st at 11 o'clock. I'll put the link and the details so you guys can RSVP. And we also have a fun event coming up all about crypto and real estate, how to purchase real estate with your crypto. What is crypto? How to get involved, a little bit more involved in it and start building wealth that way. And how does wealth building, how is it correlated with real estate in crypto versus real estate? So deals are being bought through Bitcoin, and it is possible. And there's some cool things that are happening right now. So that's going to be December 16th, a little bit later. But I'll touch on that again at the end, and I'll have the links up there for you. But at this point, Will, should we go and have everyone quickly just introduce themselves? So if you guys want to go around, I'll give you a call. Just introduce yourself. Say what you do. Anything else you want to say within 2 or 3 sentences. Why don't we start with Will, and you can be a great example of how to do this.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Will Tiao. I am the co-host of the LA Multifamily Investor Networking Group. I am a multifamily real estate advisor, broker, specialist. And I am the director of the commercial division of the Collective Realty. I also have a property management company that I run with my partner in both business and in life. That is Diana Tiao, who's over on this side for me. And she helps run the property management side. And I'll turn it over to her to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Tiao. I'm really happy to see all of you. Like Will said, I run the property management side of the business with our team. And Sarah and Mary and Paloma are here with us today. And I'm excited to just talk with all of you and share a little bit about what we do and the value of property management in terms of your investments.
Yeah, people are always asking, I have 3 or 4 units. Should I have a property management company? Is it worth it? Yes, and you're going to find out why. And if you're new to investing, maybe you would ask. If you've been around for a while, you get that there's so much that's changing day to day, and there's so much value that a management company will bring to you as far as staying on top of all the different forms and laws and changes, city by city that are happening. They're going to be the ones that are going to be protecting you and making sure that your assets are protected. So, Sarah, do you want to say hello?
Yes, hi, I'm Sarah. I work for Tiao Properties with Will and Diana, for Will and Diana. I am the leasing agent for Tiao Properties, so I do all aspects leasing, start to finish, finding the prospects, everything. And I'm excited to talk to you guys about that today.
And Miss Mary, you want to introduce yourself? Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Anthony and everybody. Yes, Mary Allen, and I am the lead property manager for Tiao Properties. And I will tell you a little bit more background about myself later. I'm happy to be here and great to see everyone.
Great. How about Paloma and then Lauren?
Hi, I'm Paloma. I work with Will and Diana. I'm actually the financial manager, property manager, and the office admin. I will also tell you a little bit more of my background as well. It's great to meet you all.
All right, thank you. Lauren.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren. I work at Northwestern Mutual, and right now I own a property, but I'm looking to sell it in the summer and hopefully rent it out. Either sell it and buy a new property to rent out, or sell it and buy a new property to live in. I'm not quite sure yet. So yeah, just wanted to get some more information. And so.
Great, well, you're in the right spot. And Ray, and then we'll go to Eli. Ray, longtime follower and friend. And you have the best questions.
Thanks. Ray Ritchie. I do property management and so investing for a small family-owned company in Inland Empire.
Great, welcome back. Eli. Oh, you're muted, sir. And then next will be Tina.
Oh, my name is Eli Bimstein. I'm a general contractor, and I'm interested in learning a little bit about this multifamily. I'm actually looking more into development, like actually new construction, to build small apartment buildings, 10, 12 units. So I'm here to share information and learn.
Great. And for all of you, feel free to put any of your info, anything you want in the chat. You never know who's looking for who, and we always are trying to connect. And since we're not in person, it's a little harder to do that. So the chat's open. You can message people directly. You can add, messages in the chat to everyone. So feel free to use that. We do want you to be able to network, with each other. And hopefully sometime early next year, we'll be meeting back in person as well. So look out for that. But I know, Eli, you're in demand. I'm sure you're very busy. And if you want to share your contact info, I'm sure you'll get some work out of this group. Go ahead, Tina, and then Scott.
Hi, I'm Tina, and I live in Los Angeles. I'm in the Southeast Hollywood area. I live in a duplex, and I have one unit that I'm in the process of preparing to rent, put out to lease. I had it empty throughout the whole pandemic because I didn't want to deal with any sort of not being able to pay rent issues or having to evict my tenants. It was better just not to deal with it. And I'm an artist. My background is in art and fashion. I'm just getting into property management because my family has been in real estate in a very, just the last generation. And I guess I'm here to really listen, but I may have some questions. But really, I've been interested in real estate for quite some time. I'm very new at it. I'm really excited to have this duplex. I really want to know what areas and what things I need to improve in order to build this property as a what is it, build investment, or there's certain things you could do to the property to make the value higher. I guess that's what it is. Coloring the door, having a nice lawn area or something, just little things. And then what else? Yeah, just interested in this crypto thing. I didn't even know about that. The real estate market forecast, all of that. So thank you. I'm glad that you guys are doing this. Nice to meet you guys.
Great, welcome. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're always talking about things to do to improve your property and little things that you can do to help raise the value. I'm sure today Will probably touch on some things that they do when a tenant moves out. before the next tenant moves in. That's cost effective. That makes sense. When do you do something? When do you not? And what are things that you look for to do? What are tenants really looking for in order to pay the most amount of money? Is it worth putting in laundry? You know, things like that. They'll touch on. So Scott and then Dave.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Scott. I've been a CPA for about 13 years, and I've been buying mostly single family properties on the side. And for me, that was a way to buy my financial freedom. And about 2 years ago, I was able to quit doing accounting. So I just live off my rental income now, but I haven't really gotten into the multifamily space. So I'm really interested in getting into that next, and also Airbnb property. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Welcome, welcome. Dave, and then Ed.
Hi, Dave Watts. I've attended one of these, I think, before. I own a single condo that I rent out, but I'm interested in buying a small apartment building if possible. So I want to learn about that. I need to, I skipped the one, but I needed to really go to, which was the loan financing one on that one. So I'll have to go back and rewatch that, but I'd like to learn about property management because I definitely don't want to even talk to a tenant if I can avoid it.
Got it. If you did miss any of our sessions, like 95% of them are on our YouTube page. So if you search the Collective Realty on YouTube and you look under our multifamily section, we have a lot of great past webinars there, and they're just good to review. Okay. So
Thank
Ed,
you.
and then Tony Wong.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be on the call today. I am a mortgage banker and I also own 2 investment properties. We're in a very interesting time now, just because there's more loan products becoming available to where they're more flexible, less of a down required, which dramatically improves your ROI for your investment properties. In this case, it's only 15% down, up to about 10 units, 720 FICO score, 4 to about 4.5 interest rate, 30-year fixed. So amazing times that we live in. I'm here to help if you need some leverage. And this is, with these programs that we have now, it's just the way to do it. Less down payment, 30-year fixed. So I'm happy to be here. Just text everyone my contact info. So if there's any questions, feel free to reach out.
Great, thanks. I see your info in the chat already, so perfect. Tony, and then Tambra.
Hi everyone. By day, I'm an engineer, so I'm looking to get started into the multifamily investing. So I'm here to learn.
Wonderful, welcome.
Thank you.
Tambra, and then Alex.
Hi, I don't own any property. I'm super new and just discovered the collective on Meetup. So I'm just here to listen and learn. And nice to meet everyone.
Welcome. All right, we're gonna go to Connie. And then Ken.
Hi, my name is Connie and I'm a real estate agent. I just represented my family in purchasing a multifamily in West Hollywood. So we recently just, we're in the process of enlisting Tiao Properties with helping us with the whole property management side of it.
Awesome. If you're ever back in West Hollywood, come stop by our office and say hi. We're right on Santa Monica and Sweetser.
Will do.
All right. And Ken.
Hi, my name is Ken. My name is Ken. So I've been in the part-time real estate investing for like around 10 years. Before that I was working for the company, Japanese company. And I have a single family home and also some commercial syndication, like I'm LP side, but I want to get to know more about, more about commercial real estate. So that's the reason why I'm in here. Nice to meet you guys.
Wonderful. That's why we do these seminars, just for people, especially like you. And Stacy, hey, nice to see you or hear you. And then Anne.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stacy Harris Green. I'm a realtor. And this is my first time actually on a formal meeting with the Meetup. I have attended other Meetup groups, but not this one specifically. Hi, Anthony. It's so good to see you. And I am here to obtain more information that will be beneficial to my clients, just to encourage them to invest in multifamily property.
Absolutely. As a realtor, welcome. So glad you're here. It's so smart. As a realtor, we all really need to make sure that our knowledge is diverse in residential and multifamily, because at the Collective, we believe in building wealth through real estate. And once you become a first-time buyer and you start in the game and you own a property, eventually you're going to want to invest in real estate and buy a property that you rent out and keep the game going. You know, the longer you're in real estate, the more different options you're going to have. So as a realtor, you kind of have to understand the whole picture, and we really encourage our agents to do that. So, and if you're not and you just focus on one, it's a little harder to understand the client's big picture. So I'm glad you're here, Stacy. All right, well, I'm going to turn it back over to Will, and I'm going to get the links going for you guys for the next seminars. I'll check in and back in just a few minutes. So, Will, let's take it over, and I'll spotlight anybody you need. Just let me know.
I appreciate it, Anthony. Well, I actually want to have a little bit of a conversation with you, because we usually use this time to talk about where things are at with the multifamily market, but also with the single family market, which is your specialty. So I just wanted to check in with you, like, you know, I sense that there is a little bit of a slowdown in the single family. It's not as crazy as it was like at the beginning of the year. It does feel like there's been a little bit more of breathing room. I'm not seeing as many offers. I have even started seeing price cuts, but I'm curious what you're seeing on your end.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely slowed down since, I think the peak was really like early summer. And since then it's kind of slowed down little by little. Single family homes, starter homes, or whatever that price range is, that's kind of entry level, is still really, really hot. There's still many, many offers coming in. Condos absolutely have slowed down a bit, I feel like. Again, anything that doesn't still have outdoor space is hard to sell. Small units without outdoor space is really difficult. They're still selling, but the prices have come down a bit. I've noticed some of the smaller condos in West Hollywood are taking a little longer, but the luxury condos are going out a little quicker, and their prices are maintaining a little bit stronger. So that's a little bit interesting, but absolutely starter price range for single family homes are still very hot. So for example, West Hollywood starter home is going to be 1.7, maybe the lowest you could ever get. And I have a listing I just put on for 1.8. We had it open on Tuesday and it was packed. There's going to be multiple offers on that. People are already telling me, if I write 2.2, will I get it? So, you know, to go 400,000 over from what it is still pretty incredible. So, you know, we'll see. It's not as crazy as it was, but it's definitely still hot for entry-level single-family homes in all cities.
I think that totally makes sense, and I think that you know, I'm seeing the same thing as well. We actually are just listed today a single family in the Burbank area for 1.395, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,900 square feet with a yard. And even before I put on the market, I was already getting calls, you know, just because there's so much interest in, you know, places with good school districts and whatnot. So I totally hear you. I saw that we had some latecomers join. Maybe we should let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, Linda, Bob, and Gary, if you want to introduce yourselves. Everyone just had a moment to say who they are. If you have a job, you're trying to network, you can, you know, pitch that for a quick second, or just let us know why you're here. So Linda, Bob, Gary, you don't have to, and also feel free to put any info in the chat and reach out to anyone else you'd like to. Last call. Okay, there are shy late. Oh, Gary, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, my name is Gary. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a picture, but just here to learn about property management, because I've managed, I'm managing like one property for myself and some for my parents. So I just want to learn more about it. So thank you for the seminar.
Perfect. Welcome. Thanks, Gary. Bob or Linda? Bob. All right, Bob.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm Bob. Nice to be here. I'm really just here for information. I'm looking to getting into real investing, so I'm pretty new, just trying to learn as much as I can.
Great, great. Welcome. You know, I love when you guys are willing to introduce yourself and let us know what's going on, because it kind of helps us gauge how we are to present. It really helps us. And it also, I think for any of you who are attending, no, you're not alone. You know, there's always other people that are like you that are here that are trying to learn. There's people who are very advanced and there's people who are just starting out. And we really try to make the education we do have some value for everybody. So Linda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Linda. I'm new to the industry, but I've always been curious about investing. So I decided to check this out. So I'm here, and I'm here just to learn a bit more.
Great. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. You know, we all know you guys are all busy, as are we. We do this, you know, at least once a month, sometimes more, because as Anthony says, we think it's so important. You know, if you're investing in real estate, and specifically multifamily income generating real estate, you're investing in a business. And when you're investing and you're creating your own business, obviously there's a lot to learn with any business, whatever business you're in, you know, whether you are a CPA or you're in life insurance or a banker or an architect or whatever you do, you all know you have a specific set of skills you need to learn. And that's part of what we're trying to do here, is try to give people a sense of, everybody, a sense of what it takes to, you know, own an investment property and run it. Because I think, you know, there's always the dream of what it is, but then there's the reality of it. And so a lot of what we try to do in this room is to try to give you the real life skills to be able to feel comfortable in moving forward in developing your real estate portfolio. You know, it's definitely possible. You know, a lot of us in this room have done it and are doing it, but it's a constant, you know, it's a dynamic thing. It doesn't stop changing. And so speaking of dynamic, like, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Southern California multifamily market right now. You know, I would say for those of you who have been attending these, you know, regularly, I think we all know that, like, early on in the pandemic, you know, there was kind of like a total, almost like a shutdown of the multifamily world, in the sense that there weren't a lot of, especially in 2020, there wasn't a lot of activity, especially during the spring and summer. But starting like late summer, fall, you started to see people start to get used to the new normal that we're all in. And, you know, you started to see things being traded, you know, being sold, bought and sold. I would say that that period right before the pandemic hit in early 2020 was one of the craziest times we ever seen. And then, like I said, it was like almost full stop. And then it's just started slowly building up again. And I would say, you know, all throughout 2021, it's just gotten, you know, more and more people have become more and more comfortable. I think, you know, obviously initially people were concerned. I think there was somebody expressed that they were concerned about, you know, all the tenant eviction moratoriums that were in place, and whether or not tenants would be paying, and whether or not you'd be able to do anything about it if they didn't. But I think obviously with all the government programs that have been happening, and people starting to move again, and you're starting to see rental markets start to come back up. And we've even seen it on our end, and we'll talk about that, about how, you know, basically like rents, you know, definitely took a dip in 2020, but they've now started to come back up. Starting from the beginning of 2021, we have started to see a steady rise, you know, back to, you know, we are definitely back to pre-pandemic in terms of where rents were, I would say, particularly in the B and C class multifamily, but that, you know, A class is still a little bit, you know, overbuilt. And for those of you who aren't, may not be so clear with those terms, like A class is considered luxury, you know, what you might see in Beverly Hills or downtown in some of the high rises or in mid-Wilshire. B class is just under that, you know, kind of like upper middle class, you know, to middle class housing. C class more middle class workforce housing, D classes even below that. I would say we specialize more in the B and C class space. And that space, continually is, underbuilt. We definitely still have, there's still not enough housing for workforce housing, middle-class housing in Los Angeles and throughout Southern California, and frankly, throughout the state. And so, so that still brings investors into the space. And we're definitely seeing that. I'll give you some examples of some of the things we've been working on. Can you guys all see this is a 5-unit, says 201 South Parkview Street. Do you see it? Okay, so this is a 5-unit in historic Filipino town, kind of just south of Echo Park and West Hollywood and Silver Lake. This building in the front is a 4-plex. The top units both are 3-bedroom, 2 baths, 1.5 baths, and the bottom units are both 2-bedroom, 1 baths. And then this house in the back is a single guest house, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath guest house. There are 5 garage units and 10 parking spaces. The total income on this property is $13,970 a month, so almost $14,000 a month. At market, it's a little over $14,000. He's gotten them pretty close. This current owner's got them pretty close to market. He currently has it priced at $2,795, which gives him a little over a 4.5 cap and a 16 GRM. It's completely turnkey. It's been completely renovated down to the studs. You can see kind of some of the things he's done inside, and then there's views of downtown LA from it. I do think there's room on this price. I do think he may even go up to a 5 cap or 4.75 5 cap, which would put him, I would say, in like the 2.6.5 range. So if you have anybody who's interested in a property, which is fairly turnkey and doesn't need a lot of, repairs or maintenance, this could be a potential. Another potential in that same vein is this 5-unit. Sorry, it's 6 units. That was actually originally a 5-unit, and then was one of the first multifamily properties in LA to get the new multifamily ADU law in effect. Some of you may have heard of this, that like before, if you wanted to build an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, an additional unit, you had to be in a single family house, but rules have changed and now you can add them on to multifamily. So what this owner did was he took the garage and converted it into a 1-bedroom, 1-bath space, and the other 5 spaces are all 2-bedroom, 1 baths. It's in the heart of Silver Lake. The income on this one is fantastic. As you can see, these rents, on these 2 bedrooms, he's getting anywhere from $2,700 to almost $2,900. The 1 bedroom, he's getting $2,150. His total income is almost $16,000 a month. He is looking at selling this at a 4.77 cap, right around $3 million. Once again, there may be a little bit of room on this price. It's on Curb LA actually called this street North Lafayette Park Place the best street in Silver Lake, and you can see why. It's like a really nice leafy street. So that's another one if you have anybody interested in that. Let me pull up a couple of others. So this is the 5-unit that I just showed you. That's the other 6-unit I just showed you. This is the 4-bedroom, 2-bath house I just mentioned that we listed in Burbank today. So this is in the Edison School District. That's Edison School area, Thomas Edison, which is a fantastic school in Burbank. John Burroughs High School, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,900 square feet. Great, great home for people who are looking for a great school district. This one was really interesting from a multifamily perspective. So this was a 6-unit property on Mitchell Terrena street in the middle of Silver Lake. For those of you who know Silver Lake, there's a very tall hill like that leads up to the reservoir, and this was right in the middle of that hill, so great location. So this type of situation comes to us quite often, which is to say, this is a family that owned this property for almost 50 years. It was the second generation of owning it. Matriarch had passed, the kids now have it. They were looking to sell. Kids had not, they had been the definition of hands-off owners. They hadn't really, there's a lot of deferred maintenance. There was one vacancy and 5 tenants in there, all of whom have been there for a very long time. There were 4 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units. The one-bedrooms were averaging about $600 or $700 a unit. And for those of you who know what Silver Lake rents are like, you know that average rents are about $2,000 a unit for one bedroom. And for the 2 bedrooms, they are going for about $900, which we know, and we'll get into that as well. But like Silver Lake 2 bedrooms go for about 25. And you saw it, I just showed you some that go from 26 to 29. So we priced this at 1.395 million, just a little hair under 1.4 because the rents were so low. I had so many, my phone did not stop ringing off the hook. Like I was like literally on the phone for about a week. We had 11 offers, multiple cash offers. We ended up getting a fully non-contingent offer at over 200K over asking price. And so, these are the types of properties that a lot of value add investors are always looking for. And we have a few more coming. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. This one, and this is the last one I'll talk about of ours, is very interesting. So for those of you who have been with us for a while, you know that we've kind of developed a subspecialty in converting multifamily units into tenants in common, which is to say that we were taking buildings and then selling off, share basically a piece of individual, as individual units. In this case, there were 2 buildings that each had 3 units each. And the owner originally came to us and said, I want to sell these as tenants in common. So we actually prepped the sale. We got all the paperwork for him. We had just done an 8 unit in West Hollywood, and not too far from this area. And then somebody came to us who looked at one of the units, the penthouse unit actually. There were 4 2-bedroom units and 2 1-bedroom units. But there was a penthouse unit with a private roof deck and views of the Pacific Design Center. And it's literally in the heart of West Hollywood. It's like San Vicente and Melrose, for those of you who know. So right next to Beverly Hills and the Beverly Center, all that stuff. Anyways, we had someone who came and made an offer on the full building. When he realized that he was gonna have to share an easement with the other building, he decided to drop out. But then we had someone else come in and make an offer for the whole thing. So we are now in escrow on both buildings, and the new buyer has asked us, Tiao Properties, to manage the building, and we will be kind of leasing out those units once we close escrow. So that kind of gives you a sense of where the multifamily market is. There's a lot of activity going on at different price points, at different levels, depending on what you're looking for, whether you're looking for serious value add all the way up to kind of turnkey luxury housing.
So, Will, I just wanted to interrupt you for 1 second regarding tenants in common. So the latest crypto class I attended, they mentioned that people are buying tenants in common as NFTs as a way to have the separate properties, and they're dividing it through the NFTs. So kind of interesting, super new, not that many people are doing it yet, but it's a way to do it that could make it a little bit easier. So just wanted to put that out on everybody's radar.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because my partner on the Hayworth, the main partner, he took all his investment, proceeds from the TIC sale to Hayworth, and he put them all into NFTs. So I know that a lot of people are, kind of going back and forth between crypto and real estate right now, depending on what the leverage situation is. So anyways, we always use this time to kind of give everybody a chance before we get to our speakers to talk about wants and needs. Is there anybody with a particular want or a particular need? Deals have been done in this room. If you happen to have anything particular that you have coming to the market, like I actually just showed you that Silver Lake one, that 6-unit, for instance, is not on the market yet. Not the value add one, but the turnkey one, the one on North Lafayette Park Place. That's not on the market yet. So you guys are amongst the first to see that. So is there anyone here that has anything that they would like to, a want or a need, or if they have a property they want to sell, or, if there's anything specifically that they're looking for?
I just wanted to mention 2 properties, maybe for a beginning investor. So one of them is a studio in West Hollywood. It's pretty rare that studios come up. It's for sale for $405,000. It's redone, amazing condition, very low HOAs, beautiful pool, beautiful building, prime area in West Hollywood for $405. Just came on the market. If you're interested, send me a message and I'll get you all the details. Another one I have is the lowest price 1-bedroom condo in West Hollywood. It makes sense for someone to buy it as a rental. Again, the HOA dues are really low. It's $535 for a 1-bedroom in West Hollywood. Most 1-bedrooms are going closer to $600,000. And has a great patio, overlooks West Knoll. Also, great location, a little bit older building, but has a pool and spa. So it could be like an intro into becoming an investor, purchasing one of these properties at a lower price point.
Anyone else? Dave.
Hi, Will. I emailed you. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I emailed you a moment ago asking you to reach out to me. If you'd help me just refresh my memory, not right now, separately, on like the cap rate and the GRE and a few things that we covered at one of the other meetings. I am interested in actually 2 of those properties you showed today. Both look interesting to me, and that's definitely the price range and kind of the size I'm looking for. So I just emailed you. If you could reply back and we schedule a time to talk, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for mentioning that, Dave. Once a year, and I'll do this at the beginning of next year, I always do a real estate terminology 101, where I go over how to calculate cap rates, also short for capitalization rate, how to calculate a gross rent multiplier, a GRM. These are tools that investors use daily to value income properties. And these are terms that all of us need to know if we're thinking about looking at buying an investment property, to know what the cap rates are in the area, to know what the GRMs are. And those change. That's once again, it's a dynamic thing. It's not static. So, but knowing that terminology and how to calculate those things are very, very important. Anyone else? Usually there's a lot of commerce in this room, so this is your opportunity to ask for anything. Mary, I know you're looking for something.
Well, yeah, I am. I would love to get a multifamily property. I'm actually looking in the neighborhoods of Lincoln Heights, City Terrace, Glassell Park. And my budget is under $1 million. So what's available is a little bit different. It's not turnkey, but I'm open to any possibilities.
All right. Anyone else?
Hello, yes, this is Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, I'm looking for a triplex near USC area.
Okay.
That's a fixer.
That's a fixer. Okay. Do you have, let me ask you a few questions. Are you looking for a particular unit mix?
Not necessarily. It just depends on what's available.
What range are you looking in?
The price range?
Yes.
Probably high 5, 6s.
High 5, 6s.
Yes, probably up to 7, high 7.
Okay. And is there a particular cap rate or GRM that you're looking for?
Not specific. It has not been specified. This is a client looking for it.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All good to know. Thank you. Anyone else? Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to want or need before we get to our speakers? Okay, then I guess we all want to discuss property management. So as we said at the top, we have a property management side under Tiao Properties that we manage just a hair under 200 units right now, which is like 40 something buildings. And I thought we brought the whole team together because each member of our team focuses in a slightly different area. And I thought each of them has, each of them deals with multiple owners on a daily basis. And not just owners, but tenants, all the landlords, and they each come at it from a different perspective. And I think for those of you who are either experienced in this area or just getting started or somewhere in between, there's probably going to be nuggets of information here that you might find interesting. And we'll definitely open up for questions afterwards. But I thought I'd start with Diana, because Diana is often the first point of contact for people who are interested in getting property management. So I'm going to let's spotlight all of our folks here. So, oh, Diana's spotlighted already. Did everybody?
It's so fancy. I've never heard of spotlight before.
And spotlight. There's Sarah, Mary, and where's Paloma? There you are. Okay. So this is our team. So Diana, you are often the first point of contact for people who are looking for property management. So why are people often looking, why do they contact you? At what point is it in their process do people typically contact you, and why?
So I think that's a really good question. First off, a lot of our potential clients come through us through Yelp. There's 3 real reasons. So one reason is that a lot of times they're self-managed. That means that the owner manages their own property. Sometimes they have a property management company that they're working with. And the third reason is that it just comes down to time and expertise and how much time they have to manage their place. So in the last year and a half during the pandemic, it's shifted a little bit because for the people that are self-managing, a lot of times they are inheriting a property from their family, and they have a full-time job, or they have young kids, and they may not have the knowledge to manage the property management or to manage their property. And so they're really looking for help. And especially with COVID, things are constantly changing and became really challenging with every city had its own rules, and every county and the state had its own thing as well. So it became really complicated. And the second reason is that sometimes I have a property management company, and I find that a lot of the times that people come is because they feel like the communication isn't great with their current management company, and so they start looking for a new one. And I really like where I stand because I get to hear what some of the issues are, and I get a chance to see how we can, if we have, be really good at those things. Right. So a lot of it's communication. And really it comes down to how much time the owner has. Like, do they want to invest their time away from what they're doing at work or in life to manage their property?
Okay. So let's say they come to you, and after talking to you, they decide, okay, we need a property manager. Then they go to Mary, our lead property manager. Now, Mary, when you've not only worked for us, right? You've worked for other management companies that have and managed thousands of units throughout Los Angeles. And so tell us, when a new property comes to you, what are the things you're looking for? What are the questions you're asking the new property not necessarily a new property owner, but this property owner that's coming to you for management?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Diana. And I'm really happy to be part of your team. And that's a great question. Normally, when Diana talks to some of potential new client, we'll find out some of their pain points. And like she said, it's often communication. Sometimes, particularly in the last year, it's been a high vacancy rate and a long time to turn over units. So one of my first questions is, in order to learn about the property, is exactly where is it, what jurisdiction, what city. We specialize kind of circling around Silver Lake, East Hollywood, Boyle Heights. We are branching out a little more in the west side, West Hollywood, and a little further. But so many jurisdictions have their own rent control laws. I also want to know, when was the property built, because that can determine under what the jurisdiction is, if it's in rent control or not. I got started in property management with a one-bedroom condo unit that I own, and I rented it out and managed it for close to 7 years. And I kind of got a taste for property management, and for just a very small microcosm of the whole thing, but I dealt with everything from legal to maintenance to tenant relations. So all those things really is something that we deal with on a daily basis. I really love being in LA. I love the variety of architecture. I think it's so charming to explore different features of homes, different neighborhoods. And as Will mentioned, we kind of specialize in the C and the B class properties. They do tend to be older. Many of them do fall into rent control. And sometimes when owners come to us, it's because they're not, they haven't been able to maximize the rent. And I am morally opposed to rent control, but it's here. So I like to look at it as a puzzle, something to work around, and I like to help owners maximize their profits. So what I'm hoping to do in the next minute or two is give a couple of actionable items to think about, and if it's not something you're dealing with now, possibly in the future, to increase profits within LA rent control. One of those things is adding a SCEP fee, systematic code enforcement program. That's another whole workshop on its own. But landlords do have to pay the city so that they can enforce the habitability rules. And landlords are also allowed to pass some of that through to tenants. So basically $3.61 a month. That is, honestly, I'm a little up in the air if that's something we can start charging, but if your tenants have been paying it, you certainly can. That's not rent. Also, multifamily units have to be registered in the city of LA, and in order to legally collect rent, that rent registration fee can also be passed through to tenants, or a portion of it. I just was checking this afternoon so I could give up to the minute news, because these rules change on a daily basis lately, especially with COVID. I think it sounded like we should be able to charge the rent registration pass through and SCEP fee even to new residents, at least starting January, which means give your 30-day change of terms of tenancy before November 30th. So there are a couple other programs that the city offers that you can implement to recover some money. And one is if you're doing capital improvements on a building, which many people have to in the older buildings. So it could be a roof or could be the electrical system. You can apply with a city to pass through some of those charges to the tenants. And it could be anywhere from $20 to $40 a month for a number of years until that's capped out. Again, that's an approval process. You can also apply for cost recovery if you are seismic retrofit, if you've mandated to retrofit your building. Another little tip, if you're choosing designers and contractors for your retrofit project, make sure to choose somebody that will submit this application for you. Cost recovery. And there's another program called Just and Reasonable, which I looked into this year, and that is really interesting because I'm going to read it because it explains it better. The Just and Reasonable program is a mechanism to obtain a fair return on the landlord's investment in rental property. It compares net income from the first year for which records are available with the net income in the current year. So basically, if you encounter a property that's way below market, the city does have a mechanism that you can apply to increase the rent. It's not to bring it up to market rate, but it could help bring it up to something so the landlord could receive a fair return. If you can get that approved, that is something you can add to your rent immediately. If anyone in this call has done that, I'd be very curious to hear about it. So if you have a vacancy and you're moving new tenants in, that's when you can legally bring a rent up to market rate regardless. And a couple things to keep in mind when you're doing that, not only can you charge market rate rent, but you can bill back some of the utilities, not only anything that's separately metered, but the usual water, sewer, and trash, which the landlord pays for, can be portioned out and billed back to the tenants. That's called RUBS, RUBS, Ratio Utility Billing System. At Tiao Properties, we use Livable. There are others. So another good thing to implement immediately when you bring new tenants on. And the other thing is consider accepting pets so you can charge pet rent. I'm going to put in the chat a couple of links that might be helpful. I'll put my name and my contact information. So if anybody has questions, please feel free to reach out.
Well, we'll definitely be taking questions after this. So thank you, Mary, for all that information. Paloma, you are our finance and manager. You're also a property manager. You're also an office manager. I actually just got a direct message in the chat. Somebody, Ray said, my guess when you take over a property management, you need to do a financial, legal, and physical audit to see what is going on. So probably a lot of hours spent initially. I know, Paloma, this is something you've done a lot of. So when you're dealing with a new property and you're dealing with some of these, what are the things you're looking for when, particularly with regards to the books and whatnot?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And hi to everybody that joined late. So I'm in charge of also the onboarding, so getting the property set up. So I usually look at things as far as like security deposits, making sure that the utilities are being paid, especially for like new owners that are, starting their multifamily business. Obviously, that's one thing that I have learned myself on transferring utilities to the new ownership. It takes a lot of process. Obviously, setting up accounts. We do have a bank that we do our trusted accounts to hold all the rents and also the security deposits. And then also as far as making sure that, the insurance, anything as far as regarding renters insurance for the tenants, making sure that we have all the contacts, And then, of course, getting the tenants to set up and pay the rents. Obviously, we're in a very interesting era right now, 2021. You know, we are trying to be eco-friendly. So getting all the tenants to pay online is the best thing I can do, not only for the tenants, but also for owners. I'm usually also working with Mary and Diana as far as getting all the owner statements and sending owner payments as well. There's certain particular owners that like to be more in detailed on what they want as far as rent income, as far as bank statements. And it's something that it's really interesting to look at the operating cash compared to what they're not getting. Well, obviously we've had hit some tenants in regards of not paying rent, and we had some particular tenants that haven't paid. And I actually have been assisting all the owners to do applying for the rental assistance from not only the county, but from the city. And we actually had successfully gotten paid for that, which I'm super happy in regards to that. City and the state have been nothing but very on top of it, and obviously communicating with everybody.
And that's critical. We've had some tenants that were like 50, 60K in the hole, you know, and I know that that's been a big part of our jobs, you know, Paloma's job particularly, and the whole team is getting all the information so that, you know, owners can be paid back for all this lost rent that's been happening since last March. Sarah, you are kind of the, many ways, the face of Tiao Properties, particularly because you're the first person that people meet with regards to tenancy. If they're looking for a place, you are the first person who reaches out. And, you know, I always say that this is a little bit our secret weapon when it comes to multifamily brokerage, because we do manage so many units, we have like our fingers to the pulse of what's happening in a neighborhood, literally down to the minute, in terms of what people are willing to pay and for a particular unit and what they're looking for. So, you know, given the pandemic and given everything, Sarah, like, what is it that you're seeing that tenants are, first of all, what are tenants looking for? You know, what are they willing to pay more for? But also, like, what are landlords looking for in terms of their tenants? Because as we all know, like, the worst thing to get is a bad tenant who could potentially cost you not just lost rent, but beyond that, as we all know. So go ahead.
Yes. So I mainly deal with the leasing aspect of property management, and I am, as you said, the face of Tiao Properties. So I'm the first point of contact. So my job is basically to secure a great tenant who fits the needs of the property. So it's kind of what you were doing earlier in the meeting, the looking for kind of thing. Like, what is this tenant looking for, this potential tenant looking for, and what is this potential landlord looking for, and is it going to meet the needs of each other? So amenities that I've really seen, especially during the pandemic, is everybody's locked in their houses. So one of the biggest amenities is pets. Everybody started adopting pets. They feel lonely. They're their fur babies. And so hopefully they still continue to keep those pets even as the pandemic is ending. But if a landlord could just allow pets on the property, that's huge. That I see, when I get inquiries, I see an increased number of inquiries if I could just market that it is pet friendly. This is beneficial to the landlord to get additional rents, and you know, to protect them, you have additional security deposits. So I know that there are some landlords that are worried about, you know, if I let pets on the property? Is it going to be more hassle than it's worth? But really what we've seen with a lot of our properties is it's kind of becoming a standard amenity now. So it's almost uncommon to not really have pets. And it is worth the additional rents and deposits. Other amenities that I've seen that are really like people will pay more for, outdoor spaces. If you can gate off a little area, if you can make a little area, or if even there's a common area, it increases the rents that we see substantially. When I do rent surveys and I'm looking for properties in those areas with outdoor spaces, it is a substantial difference. Nowadays the common amenities are there's AC, either like window units. It doesn't necessarily have to be central AC, or like ceiling fans, some sort of washer and dryer, whether it's in unit or on property. And a lot of people really love dishwashers, but it's not a make or break, but it is something that definitely adds value to the unit. Those are things that I'm really seeing that make a difference in how you market the units and how you can get market rate for the unit that you have.
All right. So as is often the case, we're going to start opening this up to questions for everybody. Ray always starts off with some great questions. He's messaged me, so I'm going to throw out some, and any of you on here can respond to this. First question is, how do you reduce headaches so you don't get midnight calls? Like, what's one thing you can do to reduce, problem callers? Mary, do you want to go for it?
Oh, sure. I know Paloma raised her hand too.
Well, yes, I did, but no, you go first.
Let's see what we all come up with here. I just think keeping a boundary with residents is important, that you don't have to be available 24/7. And emergencies are emergencies. It's it can be a process of educating people. We also have a 24/7 hotline for real emergencies, and that does not go to any of us. But if there was a question or an approval that needed, the answering service would call us. So I think it's educating tenants and keeping boundaries.
Paloma, what did you want to say?
Actually adding to it, I didn't mention this because so I'm also a resident manager for another company. So obviously at times people think having an on-site manager, you have to be available. And adding to what Mary said, yes, if it's not an emergency, and I learned this from a couple of months ago, if it's not a water, or if it's not fire or additional blood, it's not an emergency. It can wait until tomorrow. Obviously, always communicating is always key with the tenants. Let them know that you're always will respond to them. But you have to also, like Mary said, keep a tenant relationship, property management, as far as making sure that you're not overdoing it, because then they'll expect more from you.
Sarah, I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, I would just add to that and say, when you're finding your new potential tenants, setting that expectation early, letting them know what the standard is across the board when they're first seeing the unit. How we respond within 24 hours, having a system set in place of points of contact. So if you can send an email first, if it's not an emergency, or if like Paloma said, if it's fire, flood, or blood, that's when you would pick up the phone for a more urgent contact. But just setting up that boundary in the first point of contact. I know it's a little bit harder if you've already had tenants that you've had for a longer term, but staying consistent with that boundary. If you're going to set it and keep being consistent with that.
All right. Next question that Ray has, which is another good one. What is good ROI stuff to improve a unit? So what are the little things that you can do to get the best return? Diana, maybe you have some thoughts on this.
Sure. If we're turning the unit, someone leaves and we're getting it ready for rent, the three things that I always focus on is painting the unit and cleaning, really cleaning the unit underneath the fridge, the vents in the ceiling and ceiling fans, like the ledges of the windows, really clean the place. And the other thing is landscaping. Whether you have grass or if it's just an outdoor space, the curb appeal is really important. And it just makes the place feel fresh. And the tenants can see that they can imagine themselves there. So that's more in terms of a new unit. And things like hardwood floors, washer and dryer. The other thing is that doesn't cost you anything is customer service. So if the prospect comes and they see that you're really easy to work with, they feel comfortable talking with you. And Sarah does a really great job of this. So it's like that doesn't cost us anything, but it helps us bring really good tenants in.
I would also add lighting too, just because that's not super expensive, but if you could just update like some fixtures, make it maybe turn the soft yellow lights, whatever you call it, and make them more bright white lights, it opens up the room. It makes it seem nicer and bigger and more light in the room.
So these next two questions I feel are more brokerage type questions. And Ray, if you're still on, I see you're on. I can't quite figure out what you mean by this, but how to figure out what is good value to improve a unit in an area, different areas value different stuff. Do you mind clarifying what you mean by that?
The challenge I have is you're talking about Hollywood, and I'm in the Inland Empire. And so basically we have a different type of tenant. And what I'm thinking about is basically how do I do the market research to figure out what my tenant area or what my farm cares about in the way of improvements, because I'm kind of like an owner as well as a property manager. So I'm looking at it and say, hey, can I go in here and go, for example, put in a new $65 fixture from Amazon on the kitchen sink, and they'll love that? Or is that a waste of money? Or other little tiny things like the lighting thing. I agree 100%, brighter lighting's great. Adding a fan, yeah, that's a no-brainer, $80, so what? So it's a lot of little tiny things you can do to improve the market so you can increase the rents. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what they are, because that's one of my big challenges to do.
Sarah's dying to answer. I can tell.
So a really big aspect, or I would say a big aspect of when I'm trying to get a property ready for leasing is I'll do a market survey. And I will survey properties that have like amenities, similar to the one that I'm trying to list. And I'll look on quite a few different websites, apartments.com, rent.com. Sometimes I look at Zillow and Craigslist, but I do different websites so that because they list different types of properties, and I'll look for those similar amenities, and I'll even see what the price ranges are and what my price was in my mind, what I thought it was going to be, and what the actual market is saying that it's going to be. And those properties will show you, the amenities that you have, but they'll also show you some amenities that maybe you don't have that you could, if it's small little fixes that you could add that might bring more value to your property.
So Ray, I would say one of the things from a brokerage then standpoint, if you're an owner, which we are as well, when we looking at rents and how that translates to value, I just remember this conversation I had with one of my partners who was a contractor. We were turning a 5-unit at the time, and he was deciding whether or not to put common area laundry for all 5 units or laundry in each of the individual units. And we ran the math. Obviously, it's more expensive to put in washer dryers in each of the units, not just the plumbing, but then each of the machines as well, right? I mean, it starts to add up. However, we did a rent survey and we ran the math, and we realized that we could get $200 more per unit for every unit that we put a washer dryer in. If you think that every $100 of extra rent per month translates to another $20,000 in value for your building, okay? So I have 5 units. That's 200 times 5, that's $1,000, okay? You do the math, right? What do you think we did? We put washer dryers in all those units, and those units were, I remember when we got appraised, like the appraiser was like, I can't find anything. It's interesting that you say we're in Hollywood, but like from the West Side standpoint, we're like, in the Empire. And so they were like, you guys are like charging Santa Monica prices, and I'm like, yeah, because we have Santa Monica amenities, so therefore we can get Santa Monica prices. Okay. Yes, Mary.
I have one point to say on that is that I think it's great when you can remodel an entire building with the same standard. But this might be more of a personal preference, but depending on what the whole common area looks like, what the rest of the units look like, what are the new tenants going to see when they're out and about around their building? So I would say just kind of be measured with interior renovations, that it's not going to look too different than the property as a whole.
Fair enough. We have a question from Gary. What is the best way to prorate utility fees if the tenants are sharing only one utility meter? Paloma, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So as you know, we do live in LA. So a lot of the times, especially like for a duplex or a triplex, water and sewer is always 1 meter. Most of the time, electrical and trash and gas is all individual. I can give you the perfect example to one of our properties here in Boyle Heights. The owner did the renovations. There's 1 meter for a duplex. Unfortunately, you can't have the tenant pay for the water and sewer because there's an irrigation system. So that's where I register the unit into the company called Livable, which is a third-party company that does the charges for the tenants. They actually, I add them to the portal. So it's a really great way to the owner pay for it, but still get reimbursed for the usage of the utilities. Also in that particular building, it's the electrical. Unfortunately, the electrical is connected to one of the units. So this is not part of Livable, but this is part of an agreement for the leasing. So I actually calculate how much of usage the tenant is using for electrical and then divide it also into the usage of the gates, because there are remotely gates. It's a great way to not only get extra income, but it's also, like your expenses on the utilities. I'm very adamant about if there's a high peak of a tier 3 in water, that means that there is a leak going on between the walls, or sometimes it can be just a toilet running consistency. And it's just a small thing, but it does increase more and more often. Obviously, during COVID, A lot of people stayed inside, a lot of water usage, and you can always see in your utility bill. I know LADWP and SoCal Gas, I'm not sure about like Edison, or I know there's another company like Burbank or Glendale. I know there's other utilities, but they all work the same. You know, it's always a great way to have that third party company to charge that tenant for the usage of the utilities.
Okay. Tony actually has a follow-up question. Can you implement RUBS during this time frame for RSO properties, rent stabilized properties?
And the answer is yes. yes, you can. Because
but the key is it has to be a new tenant. You can't retroactively put it into activate RUBS if it's not already in the lease of the contract. So if you have a new lease, you can do it.
Yes, for all new tenants, especially new properties that we have gotten, we are highly encouraging all our new owners to get into this program Livable and actually charging the tenants, and it's actually great for them as well. Unfortunately, you cannot do it for current tenants. And of course, because it's COVID, there's still some restrictions and laws that we have to implement as well, especially for rent control buildings.
Okay, hope that answered you guys' questions on that. Dave has a question. How much does property management cost? Well, today it's free, Dave, because you're getting free advice from all of us on this call. I'll let Diana, though, handle that question for us, and maybe also talk about what she sees across the industry.
Sure, that's a good question. There's a lot of different property management companies, and each company has different ways that they do business. So some property management companies are really focused on volume, and so they tend to just be more basic in terms of services. And so, I know sometimes they'll charge anywhere from like 4 to 8% for properties. And I think that the key is to find a property management company that suits what your values are, what's important to you. So if you're looking for cost savings and you want something that's very basic, something that is like the ones that work on volume, that might be the right fit. So for us at Tiao Properties, what's important for us is just to be able to help our clients navigate through the whole process. And sometimes, like Paloma and I met an owner a year ago, and 10-unit place in Hollywood. It was really under market, and the owner was having management for I think 30 plus years, and he inherited this property. So he really needed help with this, and I want to understand what the goals are. Like, this person's goal was to make sure they had a secure retirement money. And this owner, if he was to hire a property management company and with the really low rents that he had, that wasn't going to happen. So, so for us, it's like finding out what the goals are. And for this owner, it meant that he would do better in terms of his security for his retirement by selling this property, which Will did, and we bought him another property, which was able to generate him higher rents, and so for us, it's like we have that additional knowledge because we're full service, and for us, we do charge a higher percentage for property management. And we charge anywhere from 6 to 10% for our property management fees. And it also varies too if you're a brokerage client as well. So of course, we value our relationships, and we want to work with our clients long-term. And so if it's a client that's working with us on the brokerage side, there is a special brokerage rate as well.
Yeah, and in fact, the example that Diana is talking about, is a 10 unit in East Hollywood that I showed in this room. Some of you saw it. So that's an interesting example because when they came to us, so there were 10 units total, 8 one-bedrooms, 2 two-bedrooms. The one-bedroom's average rent was about $700, and which we all know in East Hollywood's about like $1,600, $1,700, $1,800. Should be the market. And the 2 bedrooms were going for about $1,000, which they should have been going for like $2,200 to $2,400. So he was collecting, like Diana said, very low rents. So, but he had a lot of equity in the property. He didn't owe anything. So what we did was we sold those 10 units and then we bought him a 4-plex. But what's interesting was this. He had previously 10 units, but he actually had 8 one-bedrooms. So that's 8 bedrooms plus 2 two-bedrooms. So that's 12 bedrooms. In this new 4-plex we bought him, they were all 3-bedroom units. So he actually traded exactly the same number. He had 12 bedrooms. He actually got 12 bedrooms. And this new 4-plex property, A, was not under LA rent control. So it was a newer property. He was getting close to market rents, you know, and is going to be able to get market rents, you know, because it's not under LA rent control. So, so there's a lot of ability, you know, I think a lot of people get stuck in thinking like, oh, this is the only way to run things, when there are many different ways to slice the cake so that you don't have to work as hard, right? And in this case, he doesn't have to work at all at this point because he's hired us. And now he literally just waits each month and gets a check in the mail, or actually a deposit in his account. Let me see. I see one more message. Oh, how would we go about researching which areas in the greater LA area are and are not subject to rent control? Excellent question. Mary, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, great question. So you can go to, it's HCIDLA, I'll put that in the chat. So that is a LA housing website, and they have all the parameters for what unit falls under rent control.
LA rent control.
LA rent control, yes. West Hollywood has its own rent control. I'm not as familiar with that. It also depends on the year of the property was built. So there are a few factors involved. And of course, like Santa Monica has its own rent control. I don't know if a centralized place that, like, you know, gives you a map of the rent control areas.
I think that one of the places where you can get that information is through one of the landlord associations. AGLA, Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles, is a great resource. We use that a lot. AOA, Apartment Owners Association, is also a great resource. CAA, California Apartment Association, is also a great resource. All those places would know which areas have rent control and which don't. In addition to the ones that Mary just mentioned, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, West Hollywood, Glendale now has rent control. Culver City now has rent control. Burbank has been discussing it. Pasadena has been discussing it. So all over LA County, you're starting to see rent control regimes pop up. So definitely, like I would say, a landlord association is a great place to be able to start looking for that. And it's very critical that you know that before you buy a property. We've, I believe, Connie, you're on the call. We're about to take over a property of yours in West Hollywood. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And were you aware of the rent control stabilization regime in West Hollywood?
Yes, we were, but I mean, we were comfortable because we felt that the rents were close to market rate.
That's very good. And the important thing is to know that, right? Is to know when you get a property, like what that means. The property I'm selling right now in West Hollywood, which is a 6-unit, one of the reasons that this buyer wants it is because it's being delivered vacant. And they know that they can get market rents for them. If there were already tenants in there, long-term tenants, they may not want it. So that's a very good point. We are almost out of time. So any last questions that anybody might have?
Yeah, I have a question. When you purchase a building, multifamily building, and let's say that you want to renovate it or take it down and rebuild, and you have tenants over there with low rents, what's the process of taking them out? How much it costs? What's the process?
Depends what you mean by take them out. I mean, that's a...
Well, I mean, the house is going to go down. It's going to demolish the things.
I'm kidding, but
in a nice way. In a nice way.
So once again, this is where rent control really comes in. It depends on what type of rent control they're under. Okay, each rent control situation dictates what a tenant may be owed in terms of potential tenant relocation, or even if a tenant can be relocated at all. So you should absolutely, first and foremost, read the rules about what governs that particular area. Once you figured that out, then you need to figure out what can be done. And it very much depends on the area. I can tell you in Los Angeles City, the city mandates that tenants are paid anywhere from $11,000 up to $20,000 for relocation. And this is key, they don't have to take it. Okay, so that means that we've seen owners offer even more than that to hopefully move tenants out. Okay, so every situation is different. You have to evaluate it on a property by property basis. And like that 6-unit on Mitchell Terreno that I just put into escrow is a great example. Everybody was asking me the same question. They're like, what do we do with these tenants? And I'm like, that's your job as the investor to figure that out. That's your upside. That's why you're buying it for this price. Okay, you're buying it for this price because you're getting it with the tenants. Okay, that's how you can get a property in Silver Lake for $200,000 a unit. Otherwise, you can't do that, right? Because if you look at the turnkey side, look at what we're looking at. We're looking at $500,000 a unit. Okay, so every person has to run those numbers when you're looking at an investment property. What does it look like with the current rent? What does it look like with the pro forma market rent? And how do you get from here to there? That's the key to, that's the key to success.
Got it. Another question. If usually on average apartment, you always try to find the NOI and you try to figure what the expenses of each building will be in percentage to the income.
Yep.
So of course there are old buildings, there are new buildings, and there will be some difference. But what is the breakdown usually? Is it like on average 30%, 40% from what your experience?
It really depends. Each building, obviously, it depends, once again, if it's an older building, if it's a newer building, obviously older buildings have more expenses. And, if you have newer buildings, they may not be rent controlled. You might be able to pass through more of those expenses, particularly if you're using what we talked about earlier, RUBS, ratio utility billing services, So once again, that's it's so hard to generalize in this field because every property has its own unique characteristics and you have to run your numbers on every single one. And as long as the numbers work, if they make sense, you use that. But it's very hard. You can say, yeah, 30%, but hey, if it's a long-term owner and their property tax is nothing, then it's going to be less than that. right? Every situation is different.
Got it.
Any other questions? If not, Anthony, I'm going to let you take us out.
All right, great job, Will and team. You guys really know what you're doing. And as you can tell, this field of property management is really complicated. And I mean, even myself, I wouldn't feel comfortable managing a property on my own. I have a full team behind my property, making sure that they're protecting me. So thank you, Will. Great job, everybody. Just a last minute reminder, I just put the link in the chat for the 2 upcoming courses or webinars that we're doing. The 2022 Real Estate Market Forecast on December 1st at 11 o'clock. You can RSVP at www.thecollectiversvp.com. And then our fun crypto and real estate talk on December 16th at 2 p.m. The link for that is larealestateupdate.com. Those are in the chat. If you're part of our meetup, I just sent out a meetup email and published it on our meetup page as well. So you'll be notified all over the place, and we look forward to seeing you there. So great job, everybody. Happy holidays, and hopefully we see you on December 1st.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.